Professor Job Mokgoro has been sworn in as the new Premier of Northwest Province in the provincial legislature in Mahikeng. He succeeds Supra Mahumapelo, who resigned last month following violent protests in the province. EFF member Alfred Muti was removed from the legislature after the party complained that the ANC was wasting their time. They wanted a copy of Mahumapelo's resignation before proceedings. Mahumapelo resigned as a member of the provincial legislature last night. He's pledged his support for his successor. 70-year-old Mokgoro is a former Director General of the province's government. He's promised to work with all political parties in the province to bring about stability and ensure service delivery.
Top of my agenda come next week is to reduce, if not eliminate, the trust deficit between the people of Mahikeng and government. The concerns that our people have raised in the recent past include inefficient and ineffective delivery of services, waste of public resources, graft and corruption, lack of integrity in government, and poor leadership. We recognize the urgent need to develop and sustain a culture of good ethical and moral values. Indeed, the cost to society associated with unethical conduct in government is enormously huge. With the passage of time, the entire system becomes contaminated and infested with a destructive culture that does huge damage, from which recovery is particularly difficult. We commit to working tirelessly to restore stability and certainty in the province. We shall work hard to restore a sense of ownership regarding society and government. We shall deal with service delivery issues raised by the interministerial task team led by Honorable Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and in this instance especially municipalities.
Well, for more on this story, we cross to our reporter Nicolene Smalman in Mahikeng. Good afternoon, Nicolene. So what was the atmosphere like in the legislature, and what have the various reactions to his installment been?
Good afternoon. Well, his nomination and election was off to a rocky start, as the EFF made no secret of the fact that they were not happy with him being appointed as the Premier, referring to the fact that he is a man 70 years of age, and that it is likely that he may even fall asleep here in legislature. But the Speaker, Ms. Susan Dainchi, would have none of it, and then instructed security to remove the unruly EFF member. We were hoping to introduce Professor Mokgoro to the viewers himself, and to learn from him what he plans to prioritize during his term as Premier. But his spokesperson indicated that he will not be addressing the media at this stage, and that he will convene a media conference early next week. But I am joined by the provincial leaders of opposition parties. I have with me Mr. Job Mokgoro, provincial leader of the DA in the province. Mr. Mokgoro, what stood out from the newly elected Premier's speech, and what do you feel are some of the issues that he needs to prioritize?
Well, thank you. Firstly, we are very concerned with the election that took place today. You know, there's one thing to boast someone credential and also argue that he has the right pedigree, and another thing also to the results and also what he has promised us. We must remember that the Premier is also from the former Premier's office. So indeed, his integrity is at stake. And that is why we are concerned. We have today make it very clear that we are not going to welcome him and that the proof of the pudding is in the eating. There are a number of things that happen within the Premier's office, and the Premier's office has been placed under Section 101B. That is one of the worst, and we are saying as a political party we will keep a close eye. He has also promised that he will deal with the recommendations of the interministerial task team. That was a surprise to us. What recommendations is he going to deal with it? We have tried our utmost best to get hold of the content of the interministerial task team. It has been denied. We've tried our best even through a PIA application. It has been denied, and we feel that this is in the public interest. A case in point, the reason why we have this day here today is actually because of what is happening and also the whistleblowers within the Mediosa saga. And it is for that reason we have made it very clear to him, a request to ask the MEC of Health to table that report. That report must be tabled. We have to know as citizens of this province what is going on in that report. And for what is worth, as legislature members, we have to debate that report, and that is important for us. So what has happened here today is actually a disgrace. The ANC must bow their heads in shame, for on the last day we almost haven't made it, and if that was the case, we would have been dissolved. Another case in point where we will really look at is the fact that only been told that one administrator has been appointed. So we are eager to know what has happened to the 9 administrators, what are their roles going to be, and also how they're going to work with the Premier. So we are looking forward to see in what he has promised us today, whether that is going to happen. And I must say, it will be very difficult in a province of this to build that trust, a deficit trust in the broader community, a community that has been burned down, a community that has been shot at by police, and also a community that is actually completely in a mess. There's no service delivery in this province. He also claimed that he is, played a role in the School of Governance, and safe to say that most of the councillors within the Northwest Province is actually students from that school. And if you look at what is transpired within the municipality, then yes, it is indeed a disgrace. So politically, he have to step up to the plate, and less than 1 year will definitely not be for him.
Thank you. That was Mr. Job Mokgoro, provincial leader of the DA here in Northwest. I'm also joined by Ms. Betty Diale, the provincial leader for the EFF here in the province. Ms. Diale, could you please tell us what stood out from the newly elected Premier's speech, and what do you feel he has to prioritize to bring Northwest back on track?
Well, I must indicate that the Premier has been around in the Northwest throughout the administration of this term. He has been around. At some stage, he was a chief director within the Northwest Province. We expect him not to play lip service. We know that while he was a chief director at that stage, there are several signed signatures, or there are several corrupt deals that he actually approved and signed himself before his resignation. We want him to open up and tell the Northwest people the extent of corruption that is happening within the province, because we know that he's fully aware of that. We want him to come up and tell us what has been happening, reasons for him to resign, because he only served for a few months. Now, we are aware that him being part of the administration of the province is fully aware of such corruptions. But we are very worried that he comes up as a very old person. You could see even when he gave his speech, he started out very loud, and then he punched as he went on, because already, he's a grown man. We don't expect him to be as energetic as the ANC would want us to think. We know that he's a very old man, but we hope for the sake of the people of Northwest, he's going to do as expected. We have said to him, as we welcome him with circumspection, of course, that he must start by firing all those MECs that took part in ensuring that our province is under administration. We can't have a province that is under administration and becomes business as usual. He must be bold and make sure that what he has said in terms of dealing with corruptions in the province actually does happen. We are just worried also that we have had over the years, during the State of the Province addresses by the retired Premier, that he has also been talking about how he's going to deal with corruption, while he's actually presiding over corruption himself. He's actually the mastermind of corruption in the province. So we hope he's not going to come with part 2 of Setsokotsane to us and do corruption that has been continuing in the inner circle of the retired Premier. We are aware that they have been very close at some stage. We are not clear as to the reasons why he had to resign afterwards. Clearly, there are indications that he may have had enough with the corruption that was taking place in the province. He must open up. He must tell the people of the Northwest. He must tell us what he's going to do, how he's going to bring this province back to normality, because we are living in a very abnormal province as Northwest.
Thank you very much. That was Ms. Betty Diale of the EFF. Well, it became clear from discussions with them that the newly elected Premier will not have an easy feat in steering Northwest back in the right direction, and that they demand above everything else transparency from him on what has been going on in the province for the past few years under former Premier Supra Mahumapelo's administration. Back to the studio.
Thanks very much. Our reporter there, Nicolene Smallman, reporting from Mahikeng.